Good morning, everyone. How do I look in my rose vestment? Good. As I told Father Andrew, I was born with the skin color to wear this color. I was kind of teasing him a little bit this morning, but I bought this 5 years ago because, as a priest twice a year, but you should still look good for your flock, all right? As I've mentioned to you before, prior to entering the seminary, I worked for Disney for a few years. And when I get some free time, I do enjoy going to Disneyland. And one of my favorite evenings to go to Disneyland is the Sunday night of Thanksgiving weekend because the park is empty. People are going back home. They're getting ready for work again. They're getting ready for school. And I went this past Thanksgiving Sunday evening, and I was able to do a lot with one of my friends I was with. But when I was in line for the Haunted Mansion, you know what that is, right? I was getting ready to go in. I heard a voice I recognized say, "Nino." And then he said, "Nino, Father Ricky." And it was one of my godsons, who's now 28 years old. And I have to admit, this godson's one of my favorites because he is so mischievous, right? He's a great travieso, right? He reminds me a little bit of me. And he texted me, he said, "I want you to meet somebody. Don't leave the park yet." I said, "Oh boy, who is he going to introduce me to?" Because this godson in particular, his girlfriends were not exactly the favorite people I've ever met before, right? They're not exactly somebody you want to introduce to your godfather, especially your godfather who's a priest, right? So I was a little hesitant, but he was excited, and I met his girlfriend, and, what is the first question a priest godfather is going to ask, do you think? "Are you Catholic?" Right? And she said, "Not only Catholic, but I go to Mass every Sunday," right? And I said, "You're dating him?" And he said, "Come on." And he said, "Well, I've actually been going to Mass more." And it warmed my heart because he hadn't been practicing his faith. And I could tell he had changed for the better. And to see the joy in his face, the pride introducing this wonderful young lady to me, and I could see the joy in both of their faces. And that made me full of joy to see him so happy. Because when we love people, we want what's best for them, do we not? And how often do you parents come up to me, "Please pray for my children because you love them so much," or "Pray for that sick family member," because you want them to be full of the love of God, of the joy of Jesus. And that's exactly what this Sunday is about, my friends. I'm wearing rose today because we're called to rejoice, because Christmas is so very close. And oftentimes we get stuck in our busy lives, and we get stuck in our routine, and sometimes it's so easy for us to lose the joy. It is the most wonderful time of the year, but it's also the most stressful time of the year, is it not? So it's so important that we're here on this third Sunday of Advent, because the second reading, and all the readings, but especially the second reading, is telling us to be joyful. Doesn't mean that we ignore our struggles or our pain, but it's choosing to find joy despite our life circumstances. A smile goes a long way, does it not? It goes a long way. My mom asked me, "How are you liking Holy Family?" I said, "You all are very friendly here." I know who the grouchy people are already, too, after 3 months. But all in all, friendliness, A+. That says a lot about the good people that you are. You look forward to seeing each other. So our job as disciples of Christ, once we're fed here on Sundays, to go bring that joy to one another. Sometimes we just need to lighten up, don't we? My gosh, I laugh because some people come to me with their issues. I'm thinking, these aren't real issues, people. So we need to lighten up. And remember, when we're going on difficult circumstances, the joy of what's to come for us in heaven. Heaven is our true home. Heaven, where the Dodgers are going to win the World Series every year, right? There's going to be no age, no sickness. We can eat what we want, never gain a pound, right? But heaven's our true home. So those moments where you're facing those great obstacles, remember that. that Jesus is with us always. These readings always remind us, too, to be prayerful, to stay connected to God throughout the day. I hope one of the first things we do when you wake up in the morning is just to thank God that we did wake up, right? To wake up and say, Lord, thank you for the gift of another day. To pray before we work. To say a short prayer before we get out that freeway. Spending one minute of silence a day, 5 minutes, can change your life for the better. And finally, what do these readings tell us? To be thankful. To be thankful. And to tell God how grateful you are. I did Mass early this morning at 5:30 a.m. There's a beautiful tradition in the Filipino culture called Simbang Gabi. It's 9 days of Mass early. Back in the Philippines, they do it as early as 4 a.m., right? So because my last parish is majority Filipino, I'm an honorary Filipino priest of the Archdiocese, right? And they asked me, how are you doing at Holy Family? They all said, you look happy. And I said, I'm very thankful to be there. So we need to be grateful for what God has blessed us with. But we need to tell the people in our lives that we are grateful for them. When is the last time you looked at your spouse or your son or daughter or just somebody in general and said, thank you for loving me. Thank you for being you. You know, my parents, I've been married 48 years, and I often tease them, they could confess each other's sins better than their own, right? And I often joke with them when they're arguing, thank God I'm celibate, right? I tease them that, and they laugh about that, but I'm so thankful for all of you, the wonderful parishioners you are. I'm thankful for my family. But we need to live that out every day, my friends. Every single day. I joke because my last parish was called Holy Trinity, and the neighboring parish was Holy Family Glendale. And I would tell them every Sunday, if you're grumpy, go to Holy Family, right? So now I can't say that, all right? We are Holy Family. But you know what I mean? Who wants to be Catholic if they encounter a bunch of grouches? You think about that. Who wants to be Catholic if all we ever do is complain? We need to live out the joy of the gospel, my friends. And it's your job as disciples to go out and to bring that joy to one another. So God has blessed us so very much, yes or no? Yes. So let's live out that joy. Let's live out that joy. No matter how stressful our lives are, we have reason to rejoice because Jesus has opened the gates of heaven for us. And if you're sitting here today and you're sad because you miss your spouse who has died or your parents, whoever they are, you're going to be with them again. Trust in that. They're up in heaven. So trust that we will be reunited one day. So what brings you joy in your life? In the silence of your hearts, let Jesus know and thank him for the blessings you have.